All right. Good morning, commissioners and Chair Harrington, and I will hand it off over to you.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. Welcome everyone to the Tuesday, October 18th, 2022 Washington County Board of Commissioners work session. And that includes members of our community here in the room, as well as on social media, Zoom, however, we have multiple electronic means for attending our meeting out on the internet. The first item on our agenda, as usual, is board communication. Who would like to go first? Commissioner Rogers is excused for today. He's away on Clean Water Insurance Corporation, CWI, excuse me, business.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, I nominate Jerry.
I second that motion.
I will do that because I'm feeling just a little bit slighted that I don't have a no on 314 Cup, even though it should have been a yes.
It was a no.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll start. Last week attended ROMAC. And so we had a presentation on roundabouts and how you build and design and all the criteria that comes into play there. It was very interesting about all the gyrations they go through to figure out how they're going to what kind of a design do you need for your intersection with our roundabout. So it's very good. Ken Schlegel gave us an update on regional disaster preparedness transportation routes, which I'm going to be taking probably to Banks, and specifically Banks and Gaston, because they need to know where their transportation routes are in case of a major disaster. And then we got a winter forecast, and winter is coming. They said that, they assured us that. It's going to be colder and wetter is what they're saying. We're all hearing that from the TV stations as well. So stay tuned. But for right now, it's pretty darn nice. Local Government Advisory Committee. This is an AOC committee that was convened to provide input to the Oregon Health Authority and Department of Human Services on state county services. It hasn't been active for quite some time now, but now they've got it ramped back up again. We covered topics of aid and assist, as well as the 988 hotline. I had forgotten about the 988 hotline until that was we were reminded. So it was good to hear about that as well. This is called the acronym is LGAC. Yeah, no, I like LGAC better.
That's attractive.
LGAC. Yeah. Anyway, they talked about the 1.3, OHA talked about the 1.35 billion in behavioral health investments made by the legislature in 21 and 22, but this is not nearly enough to really meet the need. And so we're going to be in more conversation about that. Aid and assist specifically, county commissioners emphasized the shift from the state to the counties and the burden of services for patients and increased risk. Also, I think in regards to aid and assist, there was quite an article in the Oregonian this weekend about the woman who didn't pay the fare, spent a lot of days in jail because of a variety of things, but aid and assist, if I read it correctly, she refused aid and assist several times. So we certainly have more work to do on what that is. Also, the Oregonian, if it was correct, said there was going to be 90 people in Washington County released from this aid and assist information. So stay tuned on that. I'm sure the sheriff is all over that. Brad Anderson, it was good to have Brad online there as well. Underscored the need for state to indemnify the counties for providing behavioral health services in the aid and assist patients. So stay tuned with that as well. And then the counties that were attending the meeting, it was pretty well attended. I was the only one physically present with Tom. So Tom, thank you very much for making the trek down there as well. Everyone else was Zoom, but you can understand why. There were representatives from Klamath County is to Groot. DeGroot is the chair of this. He's from Klamath. And then, of course, we had representatives from Tillamook and from Lane and from Umatilla. So all over the state, it was a good gathering. Attended the 53rd Avenue Community Park groundbreaking last week as well. It was this is a playground that's an all-inclusive playground, all abilities park. And so it's going to be very cool when it's finished up sometime in about the next year. We, of course, had we all got to throw some grass seed out there. They had a variety of kids out there. It was really a beautiful, very warm day. So that's the Hidden Creek Community Center. And so, yeah, we'll stay tuned with that as well, because it's going to be a very cool playground. They're still raising funds for that, and of course, asking for the county to join that effort. Salmonberry Trail Foundation meeting yesterday. We are talking about a $5 million, $6 million grant that we're trying to get through ODOT. And yeah, that's going to take some work on their part. We have communicated to them that we certainly will work with them, but they're going to have to share the bulk of the burden on that, because we do not have it on our LUT work planning schedule. So they will be providing probably consultants to do that. We'll work with them as well. This will really help us get started. We're talking about the Unifier Loop. Starts in Manning, works its way to Stubb Stewart, and then connects to the Banks Vernonia Trail. So it will be a really cool addition. So hopefully we can get some baby steps started there. And then last night was the Council Creek Trail Regional Trail Elected Officials Steering Committee. I don't know if we have an acronym for that, but it's too doggone long, whatever it is. Again, it was a great meeting. There's basically 4 voting members and there's 4 non-voting members. Everyone was in attendance, including Rep. McLean, which I really appreciate, since this is obviously a busy time for our legislators, not only in the election phase of things, but just getting ready for the next session. So I appreciate her being there, especially. We approved the charter. We talked a lot about vision and goals, but I think the most fun thing is we actually had the 6 miles. They had an overview of encroachment along that 60-foot wide, and it's kind of like timber. A lot of the folks have taken over the rail line because there hasn't been a railroad there for a long time. So they just figured, well, shoot, it's in my backyard. I might as well put a shed out there or something. So there's a number of encroachments in this 6 miles. So we're going to see those. We have gotten permission from the railroad to take 10 people on a trek. We're going to do that on the 28th. And so all 8 members of the committee, of course, wanted to go. So we're going to have a couple staff. So we'll have our 10 there, and it's going to be a 6-mile hike, probably start in Forest Grove and walk this way. 2 trestles, some wetlands. It's going to be very, very cool. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing here in another week and a half or something. Attended the North Plains City Council last night, have Hillsborough City Council tonight, Gaston City Council on Wednesday, and then just I also really appreciate everybody taking the time that they're doing to go on the Bybee Lakes tour, because that's a 3-hour chunk of time out of your day. So I appreciate that as well. So thank you for prioritizing that. And that's enough.
Will you be joining us on the tour?
Yes, I do. I have a 12 o'clock Hillsborough Community Foundation board meeting where we're talking about hiring our next executive director. So I will probably need to Zoom in soon after 12 o'clock, but I'll take that as a Zoom out there.
All righty. Anyone else?
I can go next, Chair Harrington. I didn't realize this was all the way there. Good morning, everyone. Last week, Commissioner Willie, you had a busy week and you have a busy week ahead, and Mine is also the same, so hang in there.
Tis the season.
Just the season, truly. Last week I attended the Oregon Cancer Policy Forum with Chair Harrington. I wanted to extend my gratitude to Jamie Dunphy for extending the invitation to speak at the event. It was really well attended, and I appreciate the opportunity. I also briefly, I would say briefly, and I apologize, I couldn't attend the whole event. Tanya, I wasn't able to see you speak. The Economic Development Forum with Central Cultural, I did go the first hour, I think, or so. Very well attended. I think people are ready to come out of COVID and be in spaces with other people, and had opportunity to connect with our GR team, because our GR team are new, and that was a good space to talk to Tom and Aaron. And then I had a conflict, but the Edwards Center opening was also last week. My staff attended this event on my behalf. I had a conflict, but I wanted to elevate the work that Jean Edwards and her team are doing right here in Aloha for individuals with developmental disabilities and their families. The opening of the Edwards Place, their newest building in Aloha, will provide a space for families to age in place together with people with dignity and humanity at the forefront. It is very clear that this team is passionate and dedicated to helping people, and it shows in all of they do. Brenda can share their contact information for with your assistants, staff assistants, in case you'd like to reach out. But I'm just humbled and appreciate all the work they're doing for people with disabilities and their families. Last week we had TV Highway Steering Committee meeting. TriMet had a presentation called Basis of Design. We had a really good, robust discussion on differences in design approaches between downtown and other locations. And then Metro presented equitable development strategies and outreach update. There was a lot of discussion about creating equitable development strategies and equity coalition memberships. Now moving on to this week. Yesterday we had WCCC meeting, Washington County Coordinated Committee meeting. And one of the big topic on the agenda for us yesterday was the MISTIP 2023-28. I don't know why I keep thinking it's 23-25. Sorry, Stephen, but it's 23-28. It's 5 years. And we had a really robust, again, conversation about refined project cost estimates. And the idea for the agenda item was to review the refined project cost estimates and the public survey. And then we had the same, it sounds like it's going to be in all the transportation spaces. TriMet Forward Together concept presentation. WCC had the same opportunity as we did last week to hear that project. And a lot of the feedback they got was also the same feedback we gave, and look forward. Chris Steffenbach yesterday pointed out to me something that didn't come up in both conversations was the idea of bus shelters and bus seats. And so we'll definitely have multiple opportunities. I think MPAC will have an opportunity to hear that project, as well as JPAC, and definitely we'll keep an eye on that to make sure that's centered. This week, I'm also attending Committee for Community Involvement meeting. As you all know, one of their monthly, on their monthly agenda, they have a Commissioner of the Month item on their monthly agenda. And I will be attending the CCI meeting tonight as a Commissioner of the Month to chat about some things I've been working on. So I look forward to that conversation. Commissioner Willie invited us all to take a tour of the Bybee Lakes Hope Center. I appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to it tomorrow. And then this week I also have JPAC. The agenda, TriMet Forward Together Services Hours Restoration Plan is also going to be discussed there. But a couple things that are on the agenda and that I will forward to you One thing is the recap of the RTP. We had a workshop last month. I think I talked about some of the questions that we were discussing among ourselves, safe and healthy urban arterials. They sort of condensed that feedback, that workshop, and I can share with the rest of the commissioners how they synthesize that information from our discussions. But that will be a topic to discuss. So I'd like to get your feedback on if you have any burning, something that was missed, that wasn't brought up, but it was, I think my conversation with Chris seemed like pretty robust and comprehensive enough, but in case there's something missed. There is going to be a resolution basically adding existing projects in the 2021-2026 Metro, the RTP, the MTIP, I should say, which is the Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Programs. Lots of acronyms with JPAC, but the idea is to meet the required full obligation targets on federal approved steps. So this should be easy. I think it's on the consent agenda item. And then we're going to have a conversation. One of the other agenda item is Metro ODOT Regional Mobility Policy Update. So this is a draft policy measures and action plan for 2023 Regional Transportation Plan. And I will share that with you too, but, and I'll bring back what the conversation at JPAC is so that you have an idea of what we're agreeing with Metro and ODOT. I think that's my updates.
Good morning. It's nice to see everybody this morning. I have several things I wanted to talk about. Last week, I went on a tour of TaylorMade. It's a retreat that's just off of 217 and Walker Road. We've heard about this in the past from Commissioner Scouten. He took a tour there. It's and Megan attended with me. It is a immersion program for people who are suffering from substance abuse disorder. And it was an opportunity to just look and see this house was originally built by a bootlegger of all things. And it's a big mansion with a lot of grounds. It's a very interesting location. One of the key factors there is a spring that comes up out of the ground right there. And he's had some dealings with Clean Water Services. Mark's nodding his head. And I did ask Joe Gall last week if he would go out and take a tour and see this location so that we establish a different line of communication with him. I did attend again on the CWS front. I did attend the Cedar Mill Nature Park celebration on the Interceptor project. And it was really cool to see all the groups of people that have come together and have the opportunity to say thank you for their work to get that done. We then went from that location at the Nature Center out to see the big swath where it comes through. And it's amazing how the teams have built a natural area for this to become a floodplain that's effective for the area as well as the wildlife there. So it was very cool. It was a really good lunch too. It was a barbecue. So that was fun. And then from there, I went over to Central Cultural's economic symposium, like many of you did. Tanya, you did a great job on the panel. I thought it was really well done. It was great to see us represented in that panel. So thank you for your work there. But it was also, as Commissioner Fye mentioned earlier, it was really cool to see the people coming together. And we haven't seen that group of individuals under the economic development umbrella, and I really appreciated seeing that work there. On Friday, I attended the Senator Wyden's forum on through Westside Economic Development. Oh, I can't believe I don't remember their name. That's pretty bad. Westside Economic
Alliance.
Thank you. You know, when you have those thoughts and your mind just goes like this.
We all have one of those days.
I may get a couple phone calls from board members on that one, but it was a really good presentation. The presentation itself was short. He hit on chips, he hit on a few major issues, but then it was really a Q&A, which is kind of typical of him. The group was small though. It wasn't as large as we've seen in the past, but it gave an opportunity for him to call out people like Mayor Truax and really highlight him and the work that he's done. He also called out our county for the work that we're doing in a number of areas. So that was
Okay.
positive. Dan Field introduced Senator Wyden, and Dan is the government relations person for Kaiser Permanente, who was the sponsor. And what I really appreciated in the introduction is that he called out the CAT and talked about it at length in terms of being so proud to see Washington County work forward in this initiative. So I was pleased to get that type of airtime from Kaiser Permanente there. Last night I went to an evening with Dr. Adrienne Benning. She's the new PCC president. It was really a good opportunity for me. I had not met her yet. I'd been in situations with her, but she's a dynamo. She's going to get a lot done. She speaks fast. She talks about all different types of issues that PCC is working on, and she was supported by her staff there, which as well as board members, which really enhanced the fact that she could speak to a lot of different issues. So I'm encouraged to work with her, and I'm really pleased that we've got, I was a big Mark Matsui fan, and I'm pleased to see that we have somebody that can really step into his big shoes. This week I am going on the tour of Bybee Lakes. Thank you. I have a community action board of directors meeting. I'm meeting with the Regional Arts Commission I believe with
Yep.
Commissioner Willie. And I also have RDPO this week. A couple things that I'd just like to announce. I did get a call yesterday from Columbia Sportswear. Their Sorel brand is relocating to Washington County. They're going to be on Science Parkway along with they're moving from downtown Portland out here. I believe it's about 25 to 30 employees, but they're excited about bringing employees to Washington County. The last thing I wanted to mention is that I'm working with Eva on the performance review. This is part of our regular cycle for Ms. Angie and Mr. Carr. Ms. Angie's performance review is scheduled to be completed in December. Mr. Carr's in late January. So that's my report.
Great, great. So we as commissioners have to make sure that we follow up on the survey.
Yes, and I'll be sending you the schedule so that you'll know what to anticipate.
Okay. Oh, and yesterday I forwarded to the commissioners the Metro COO UGB expansion recommendation because you, Commissioner Treese, need to hear from us before your October 25th, I think is the date, MPEC meeting.
Yes.
So I wanted to make sure that we all had a chance to look at that.
That
A
date sounds
recommendation.
further up than it is,
Right.
you know that.
Yeah,
can't believe
it's-
we're talking
I know.
about it like next week.
It's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
the 26th, Wednesday. So we'll
26th,
have
thank you.
a chance for that input next Tuesday.
Yep.
Yeah, and I circled it as one of the agenda items on WCC's meeting yesterday that I forgot. But the 3 options. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Washington County is. Yeah. Between the 3.
So we had previously supported the Tigard UGB expansion request, and then that kicked off the UGB exchange. So all 3 exchange proposals include removing lands from the urban growth boundary out in Clackamas County. So I just wanted to make sure that
Thank you.
to the degree that we have any opinions on any of those 3 options, that we provide you with that. Okay, well, fun, busy time. Last week, Wednesday or Thursday, I toured what is to me the newest, most recent community warehouse space. I'd been to their previous space in Tualatin, but this is their newer space in Tualatin. Met with their executive director, and it is amazing how many clients they serve, mostly through referrals from other agencies. But the volume of material that comes in and out generally has at most a 3-day lifespan.
Wow.
Yep,
3 days. from
Yep.
rec-
from
Receiving
receipt out
out to house.
to, yep.
Uh-huh.
And that is separate from those items that they host in their estate sale store. That same day, I was pleased to join Clean Water Services in a luncheon with the Vengen Laos delegation, and I'm sure that Mark will be telling us more about the team's meetings with that delegation. We're having fine October weather here, so it's kind of extraordinary that it's so dry while they're here to look at our natural systems. So, which usually work with water. Anyway, we also had the Fairgrounds Advisory Committee meeting. I will be forwarding information from that meeting to you. We had the first year performance of the event center, and recalling our prior conversations, I was inquiring as to actual performance to goals or forecasts, and that information isn't yet quite in the vernacular and therefore not in the presentation. So hopefully we'll get that over time. And I also made some suggestions on the Fair Board recap for the Washington County Fair recap, that they include a little information that I anticipate you all might be interested in hearing in our joint Fair Board of Commissioners meeting in January. I think it is slated for.
Yeah, we have a fair board retreat this Friday too that I forgot to mention, but yeah, so we'll
Great.
probably have some of that conversation.
Okay, great. We had a tri-county planning body meeting for SHS last week, and we reviewed the 3 counties' first year progress information. And I'll be having a meet and greet meeting with the 2 co-chairs next Friday. Yesterday, yes, Catherine, yesterday was Monday. There was the kickoff day for a full week of training for SHS case managers. And there were almost 100 folks in the room going through the extensive training this week. They have an outside trainer with tons of energy and a great team. And it was fun to see the material presented and how far our team has come in staffing up itself, staffing up the whole ecosystem here. Just phenomenal results that we hear on paper, but to see more of it in the room was really cool and energizing. I had a monthly chair mayors meeting yesterday where we talked about CPACE, and I inquired on feedback for our redistricting that I'll mention a little bit when we're on that topic later in our work session. Joined Commissioner Treese with the meeting last night with the new PCC president. And I wanted to share, I received this magazine as the chair of the board, and I read it religiously. The Other Oregon, A Voice for Rural Oregon magazine. And the articles are usually quite interesting. And I learn lots about different viewpoints in the state. I'm going to start leaving the magazine in the coffee room, but I can start by just bringing it in on Tuesday, and whichever one of you wants to grab it first, but
We
please.
have had I've gotten those in our inboxes. I was in my office yesterday and that's in there. So I was scanning.
Oh, terrific. I don't know who they send it to, so,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know that I
Yeah.
have one in my inbox.
Yeah.
I don't know.
but if you, maybe if you could write on the front, just the initials of the different commissioners and as a distribution list or something, that'd be awesome. So that's pretty much it for me. So, yep, busy times here in October. So leadership communication, Ms. Angie, I'm interested in hearing who was on that panel with you at the Centro event too.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll just start there. I don't have all the names in front of me, but we had Wells Fargo leadership to Federal Reserve Bank. It was a very diverse audience. And I want to say something that just resonated with me. I was speaker, but it was really sharing the story that of how we're all contributing to the economic vitality of Washington County. And it was really fun afterwards just to see Washington County staff, from communications to A&T staff, to AcDev staff, to community engagement, et cetera, and to really see how they felt and hear how they felt their work was resonated in the message. And so it really is about a One Washington County and how we connect our work together. So it was great. And it was great to also continue to just personally expand my personal connections with community as well. And I agree, it's fun to be out and about in spaces with others. So moving forward to elections, it is, we say 'tis the season, so you will be getting upcoming various elections updates. I do want to just call your attention to a memo you received yesterday evening from Marnie Kyle, which highlights the first elections public test. With the upcoming general election on November 8th, our elections division will be conducting public tests of the Washington County tabulation system. The first test will be held on Friday, October 28th at 9 a.m. with an expected partisan observer contingent for the first public test of our tabulation equipment. We also anticipate the Secretary of State, State Elections Director, and Deputy Elections Director to join us on this date. So want to flag that for the board's awareness, and board members are also welcome to join. If you are interested, please let Marnie Kyle or Joe Nelson know of your interest.
With the exception of one meeting that morning, I'm out the rest of the day. So if any of you could.
I'm assembling beds for a shelter. I think, yeah. And so I might be able to make the 9 o'clock. I'll check.
Well, there are other public dates ahead of us. So November 2nd and December 5th as well, if you're interested.
Great.
I want to lift up a wonderful event that was held, our inaugural West Side Open House, which was held last Wednesday. We had over 200 in attendance, and this was a networking fair for local minority, women, emerging small business suppliers to meet with government agencies, community-based organizations, and general contractors with workforce diversity programs to learn about upcoming contracting opportunities and access to available resources. So it was great first-time event of over 200 attendees in this networking space. As far as agencies represented, we have a list of 28 agencies, organizations that were represented. So a good first step and looking forward to next year's event of this first of a kind on the West Side. Do want to lift up, Chair, you had mentioned the Fair Board. It is scheduled for January 10th. Just for the board's awareness, our MOU states that this meeting must occur annually. Typically, it's held sometime between November and February, so that's not really on the calendar process, but that's the date range that we typically look at. We did push it out. It was scheduled earlier, so just wanted to follow up with that detail piece. And then also our housing team is working on rescheduling the Washington County Housing Advisory Committee form. This is a challenge to schedule because we have so many partners that are interested in attending. I do want to just let the board know this is really a tradition of just bringing the board and partners together to discuss housing and homelessness within Washington County. There's no state policy or requirement that this must be held, but we know that many look forward to this conversation about this important issue within our community.
That and the joint meeting of the Fair Board are on our standard business.
Yep.
calendar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Exciting news. Yesterday, we officially closed on the Elam Young site. So Washington County is officially the property owner. This is a really important milestone and in effectuating our CAT vision. So exciting news. Do want to lift up a upcoming board item. As the board is aware, we are going through the EMS revisioning process that will be coming to your board for board action on November 28th. Staff is reaching out to your staff assistants for one-on-ones prior to that date. I would strongly encourage you taking the opportunity for the one-on-one. What the action before the board on that date will be is adoption of the AR, meaning the administrative rules, and the ASA, which is the Ambulance Service Area Plan. Also accompanying those two documents are a franchise agreement. So you will have those three documents, which are really the cornerstone for the procurement process, the RFP process. And so that November 28th date is incredibly important action step in the next steps for that RFP process. I do want to commend staff's work in partnership with our consultant as well as our EMS Alliance. We're moving this work forward. While we may focus, we need to get the RFP out, having these foundational cornerstone documents and the work that goes behind that is going to be incredibly important in ensuring that there's clarity for providers who would be submitting an RFP of expectations for Washington County.
Just as a tip, could you consider working with the team on the rolling agenda and getting some note for that time span between when the RFP drops and when we make the decision so that we are sensitized to contact requests?
Yep.
So it's just a little aid to help
Yep.
this brain at least remember.
Yes. Yes.
Tanya, will the one-on-ones be available? Because I leave on the 16th of November, and so will I be able to have that one-on-one prior to go? Or is that too?
I bet Megan
I'm-
will help make
yeah.
it happen.
Well, I didn't know if the staff would be ready that early, because that's 12 days before.
So
Well-
this was an item that for timing purposes, we removed from the work session agenda today. But they're trying to make sure that we have the benefit of some concentrated Q&A time with staff before
Mm.
our decision making.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that'd be great if I could do that. So.
Yep. And then I do want to draw your attention to a memo that I included in your board's packet under the leadership updates. This was a follow-up from board inquiry. Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Willie, you had asked for follow-up information on the OEICE budget. In that document, it includes the historical look from when OEICE was established to today. Also breaking out the general fund support, SHS support, and ARPA support for the programs, and includes outcomes to date of OEICE's efforts. So I also wanted to just include that in the packet because it includes relevant budget information that may be of interest to our community members.
Great information. Thank you.
And that concludes my update.
thank you. Mr. Carr.
Good morning, Chair Harrington. Good morning, board members. I'll be brief. I reported previously on the litigation civil against Washington County, which was a challenge to our refusal to a public records request for the SQL database used in elections. This week, we learned that the judge had dismissed the case. Had ruled in our favor, granting our approving our decision not to release the database. This was a result of hard work by the whole elections team. The judge wrote detailed findings of fact that go on for 17 pages. And actually Jason wrote most of those, but the judge incorporated a lot of the ones he suggested. I can't emphasize how important the work of the elections team was. The judge relied heavily on the contract language that Brad Anderson helped support them on, but the judge emphasized that they had distinguished between what was a computer program and what was database information. And the computer program, the SQL part, which included instructions, was protected under state law. Now, I assume there'll be an appeal, but I want to congratulate Jason, DJ Davis in our office and the elections team on the hard work. And that's an excellent decision and helps us provide more security protection for our elections.
Great. Can I ask a question about that? Not the case specifically, but law term of art. I have frequently heard the phrase, there's case law, as in records, decisions of prior cases. So does his ruling help establish some judicial clarity for any other types of challenges?
No.
Okay.
Gen-
I don't need
Generally,
to take-
trial court decisions are not considered, have no precedential value. Although certainly they're persuasive. And as I said, it's well written. The Court of Appeals decision, if that comes, will be a precedent.
Got it. Thank you.
So my second report is on the aid and assist litigation, which Commissioner Willie mentioned. Judge Mossman made a series of rulings which are encouraging. He granted the hospital's motion to intervene as a party, which the plaintiffs had opposed. He granted the judge's request to participate as amicus. But interestingly, he had ordered us to file a brief on the question whether or not he had the authority to issue the order that he issued. That is Washington and Marion County. We filed that brief. The plaintiffs filed a response that said that we had ignored the question and that the judge clearly had the authority. They filed a 3-page response to our brief. The judge issued an order saying that he wanted a more comprehensive response from them. So we pretty much rejected their argument that we had not answered the question. He gave them until November 3rd to provide that response. We have oral arguments scheduled on November 21st, and it has been Judge Mossman's practice to rule at oral arguments. So it's likely that we will hear more on November 21st about whether or not, and the hospital, the judges, and we have all asked the judge to either revoke his order or limit its scope. So we may, fingers crossed, hear some better news coming forward about this very difficult situation on November 21st.
Related to the aid and assist, and I really appreciate the cross-functional team. I particularly want to call out the summaries that Brad Anderson of your office provides us through our weekly internal communications. So as to not rely upon media information, is it possible through the team's work to occasionally give us updates on what the possible releases might be, the forward-looking releases, and use that vehicle for that kind of thing?
I think so. I mean, once that information is public, there's, as you know, HIPAA restrictions that the hospital isn't even telling us who they're releasing or who's on the list. And we've worked to try to get that information, but I will make sure that you have whatever information we can provide within the bounds of the law.
I'm just looking for summary, not too much detail.
Understood. I'm certain
Yeah.
we can work something out.
And staff, just for the public's awareness, this is scheduled for this afternoon and work session. So
Oh,
staff
that's
are
right. That's
yep.
why it's so present in my
Yeah.
mind. Thank you.
staff can be prepared to speak to that request. Sure.
When you're also organized about things, I don't remember the detail of when it's coming. I just know it's very present. That's funny.
Chair and Commissioner Willie both mentioned Brad's work on this. He's working on a statewide basis and is actively involved. And as you know, he's he's a national expert on healthcare law. And so we're very lucky to have Brad and his talents on this subject. And he and I have sort of split this. I handle litigation. He does the smart stuff. He's the substantive guy. So I'm just doing the law stuff, the litigation stuff. Which is where I know my level of competence. And I did want to point out that Commissioner Willie congratulated Tom for being in a meeting with him. That was Tom Powers, not Tom Carr.
Yeah.
So credit should go where credit.
I was
is due.
looking at right over your
Yeah,
shoulder.
but you were looking. So just don't want to take
All right.
credit from
Good.
Powers being there, and we'll work on him changing his name. That's my update. Thank you.
Great. Well, I will pass on the kudos that prior to Commissioner Fye joining the commission with her public health expertise, she's our board rep to the AOC Health and Human Services Steering Committee. But prior to that, we didn't have a commission rep there. But the excellence of the Washington County team with former Department Director Marnie Kyle, as well as Brad Anderson, and with support from the government relations team. I mean, we're just such incredible subject matter experts that we are well served there in our leadership position at the state. And I want to thank Commissioner Fye for being that regular presence at that steering committee meeting. You've been doing that for over a year during your tenure, so thank you. Really important work. Moving on, Clean Water Services.
Thank you, Chair Harrington, members of Clean Water Services Board of Directors. As noted, Diane is at the Clean Water Services Insurance Company Annual Forum this week, together with Director Rogers and several staff members. So I'm sitting in today. A couple of things that I want to bring your attention to. Thank you for attending the luncheon with the Lao delegation last week. I had the privilege to be able to meet with the delegation. They first came to the Water Environment Federation Technical Conference, or WEFTEC, in New Orleans last week. We met with them there together with the delegations from Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam, and they're partnering utilities as well. This is a program between the Southeast Asian countries, ASEAN, and the US State Department. So it was a real opportunity to meet them. They apparently had a great time here. They really were interested in that nature-based systems, how we do wastewater treatment, and particularly related to industrial waste management with Vientiane, which is the capital of Laos. We will be sending a delegation to Laos probably next June that will be funded by the State Department. There'll be 4 people that'll go on that. Looking forward to that, trying to decide who the right staff are to be there, provide expertise. Also development at last week's WEFTEC conference, we were very happy to accept the Utility of the Future Today award, which is presented by a number of professional associations in the water industry together with the Department of Energy and EPA, and particularly recognizing an area in community partnerships and engagement across a variety of different things that we do here at Clean Water Services.
Question
Yes.
on the Vientiane Lao experience. Was I correct in understanding that they're working to implement their first city? It's a city of 1 million people, right? Capital of the country, renowned university, along the Mekong River basin. Am I correct in understanding that they're looking to implement their first municipal waste treatment center and capability? What capability they currently have are septic systems. So the team was batting around ideas with them about potentially using those for the initial treatment, and then from there adding in secondary treatment to improve the conditions. But it just sort of blew my mind.
Yeah, it's a very
People on septic tanks?
well, yeah, and to a certain degree, there's also open conveyance to a large wetland that provides a level of treatment, but that capacity of that wetland to assimilate that pollution is as the city grows, it creates a challenge. Plus, there's a great deal of money that's being put into a lot of these Southeast Asian countries. We talked about the high-speed train and the freeway and all this, a lot of it from Chinese investment. So there's a lot of money coming into the city to invest in things into the country. And one of them is related to water quality improvements. So it is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Two other things I want to note. I want to note, it's very close to my heart. Today is the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act. So it was enacted. It was an override of at that time, President Nixon's veto by both the House and the Senate. The House overrode the veto the same day that the president vetoed it, and the Senate did it the next day. And it went into effect 50 years ago today and really created the framework to manage water quality in the United States. One of the things I want to note is also there was the construction grants program. So in the 1970s, when this community built the wastewater treatment plants, particularly Durham and Rock Creek, two large regional facilities, 80% of that cost was federal grants. 20%, which was an enormous investment by our ratepayers here, was through a general obligation bond. But it was really a lot of federal investment, and that's proved very well. I mean, the Tuolumne River is healthier today than it certainly has been in generations, and much healthier than it was 50 years ago. The last thing that I'll add is I'll be stepping out at 2 o'clock today to go over to Butternut Elementary School, where we have a Butternut Creek Enhancement Project celebration with the community there that's coming out, primarily the elementary school. The students, the parents, some of the civic leaders over in that area at the end of kind of a 3-year restoration project we've done there. So thank you very much.
Do we have any further clarity on the timing of the Tree for All event this Thursday?
No, but I can follow up with you on that.
I have another meeting that's come up for work, so that might impinge, which is why I need the clarity.
I'll follow up.
Anything else for questions or comments for Clean Water Services? Nope. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to do a time check.
Yes, I know.
With
I
a
looked at my
potential
watch
solution.
earlier and I was like, wow, we're on track for our usual performance of exchange of information, which squeezed out our first topic.
So if I may suggest,
yeah.
so we stay on time for the board meeting, that we actually push out the reapportionment to 2 o'clock after the 1 o'clock item, which is the Mossman, the aid and assist,
Okay.
if the board's comfortable with that.
Yep. I am. You all?
Mhm.
Okay. Shall do.
Okay.
See y'all at 10 o'clock in the auditorium.